Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gfinity Summer Masters 2 here at EGX 2015. My name is Lycan. With me again, I have Bling. And joining us, instead of TLO, we have Daishi. Just came off the caster's desk. How you doing, Daishi?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. What'd you think, fellow Frenchman kicking some butt today?
Yeah, he's on fire. He just came on the computers back there and he told Tulibo, hey, I just made stalkers like you and I won.
Allez le bleu.
Allez les bleus.
Allez le bleu.
Yeah.
Tout à fait.
So we have another Frenchman coming up. Next, it is going to be Marinelord, and he is facing off against Ret. Bling, what do you think of this matchup?
I think it's going to be a close one. It's probably going to be the closest one out of all of the matches. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head now. But yeah, I think it's going to be the closest one. I think Ret's probably the underdog in it. Marinelord, he isn't feeling too great within Starcraft 2 as of late. I think he was a bit vocal after his defeat in WCS that he kind of wanted to take a break, or it might be his last tournament, this one, in fact. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how he approaches it, but I think he is definitely the favorite going into it. I think it'd be close either way, though.
Yeah, what do you think it is about Ret? Ret, he always does pretty well in tournaments, right? He gets pretty far, but he's never been, you know, he hasn't had a really high finish in a long time. What is it about his play that's holding him back?
It's hard to say, you know, because he's been around forever. He has been around forever. He's been around since the Brood War days, and he's probably one of the oldest, no disrespect to Ret, but he's probably one of the oldest players actually still competing at the minute. So, yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe it's just fatigue. Maybe the age is getting to him. Maybe he just can't be consistent throughout the whole competition or tournament. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint because when I have played him on ladder and in competitions, and I'm sure you can vouch for this as well, he's an extremely solid player. Like there's no areas where I'd say he's weak at. He's just overall really solid. So, yeah, it's really hard to say.
Go ahead, Daishi.
Well, I think that Ret, if he goes to his game plan, that is a very macro-oriented style, especially in TVZ. So for Marinelord, he's going to be afraid a bit. He's insane. Like, if he gets up to 90 drones, he has this technique where he just throws waves of units over and over and over again. And the Terran just cannot take a false base. And that's really impressive from him. Really impressive.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the screen. We can see the recent results between these two players. WCS Europe 2015, the Season 1 qualifier, it was Marinelord taking the series 2-1. But then before that, WCS 2014 Season 3 qualifier, Ret 2-0, and then 2-1 in the qualifier before that. So we do see that Ret has, in the past, done well. But let's also say that, you know, the French, they're on the rise, right? Marinelord is one of those people, along with Lobo. And tell me, Daishi, what do you think of Marinelord's strengths, and how do you see him coming out of this this round?
I think he's just like Lilbo and these other French players, which are Tidrogo, DNS, and Psionic.
You never mentioned Firecake. I noticed that as well.
Firecake?
Yeah.
Oh,
is he
him as well. No, he is one of them as well, actually. I forget about him. But yeah, there are these French players who are coming out, and they're just winning everything. I mean, not everything, but Marinelord, he did some very impressive results in WCS. Well, Lilbo, we cannot say that he's been doing bad lately. And Marinelord, yeah, he wants to be just like Lilbo. He wants to win these tournaments. He wants to, when he goes to a DreamHack, a Gfinity, or any other tournament, he wants to be into that finals and take the whole thing. He's 20 years old. He's willing to beat everyone. He's starting to gather some experience as well because of WCS and other tournaments like Gfinity. So I think it's going to be a very interesting match, like Blink said. It's like the experience of Ret against the wildness, I would say, of Marinelord.
That new kind of fresh, crisp, you know, winning.
Yeah, and I say it. I think there is going to be 3 French players in the top 4.
Okay, let's talk about maps for a second, right? If we look at the vetoes, Marinelord, Ret vetoed Terraform and Dash and Terminal. Marinelord vetoed Bridgehead and Cactus Valley. I want to know what you think was going through Ret's mind, why he chose those 2 maps for veto.
I think they just want to get rid of the bad maps, right? I mean,
they mostly want to do that.
I mean, in this current map pool, I think everyone can argue that it's a bit weird. It's a bit strange. And I think the vetoes don't really favor too much. Maybe the Zerg wants to get rid of the 4-player maps, but he only went for the two-player map, so it's hard to say. Like, I really just think it's because those maps are just weird. They're weird maps. They don't play out very well.
I think Red is losing on this map video because Marinelord is one of these heroes who just plays mech every time in TVZ almost, and Coda is a guaranteed win, I feel, for Marinelord with mech. He's insanely impressive in a way that he just destroyed Koreans on this map, and yeah, I feel like
Let's talk about mech. Mech's a hot topic still.
Let's not talk about mech. I think everyone's seen far too much mech.
Well, we're probably going to see some mech. And do you think that Rhett has what it takes to kind of crumble mech? Do you think he's been studying the recent Zergs that have been able to handle it?
You know what? I'd like to think he has. He's in Team Liquid, and Team Liquid, as everyone knows in Europe, they're a very vocal team. They're a very tight team. And he's got Snoot to talk to, he's got TLO to talk to, Mr. Creative himself. So they've obviously been theory crafting, coming up with ideas to beat it, and there are ways to beat it. It's not completely unbeatable. You can beat mech. It's just very difficult to do so. So there's definitely been a few discussions, I'm sure, amongst the Team Liquid guys, and I'm sure Rhett's prepared himself accordingly.
Yeah, Rhett's always a pretty cheerful guy, pretty nice guy when I get to talk to him. But tell me, Daishi, about Marinelord. Tell me behind the scenes, coming into this event, how has he been feeling? Is he just coming in and like, I'm going to play some Starcraft, I'm going to do some things and see if we get some money?
He's willing to, as I said earlier, to just kick ass wherever he goes. He has that rivalry with Lilbo. They are always, pushing themselves, like saying, haha, you just lost, you're so bad, you're so bad. And of course, it pushes them very hard, and that's why, to me, that's why they are performing so well right now. They always push each other again and again and again, and they're like, if I lose, Lilbo is going to troll me, and it's the other way around for Marinelord. So he's a nice guy, and he's mostly willing to destroy his opponents. So
do you see him being a possible guy in the finals with Lilbo? Do you see that as a potential?
Of course, yeah. He's always a contender now for a victory.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be a really exciting matchup. ZVT, TVZ with mech and all that. I hope we do see mech, and I hope we see an exciting mech.
Strong words.
I hope we see mech.
Extremely strong words.
As a Terran, I don't mind seeing mech, but I also, as a Terran, I don't like turtle mech. So I do hope we do see a little bit more aggression, like really early, active Hellion style.
If we see like a Gumiho style, I'll be happy. Yeah. But I know that Marinelord doesn't do that at all. He will sit there for a good hour and be happy. He will sit there, yeah. He'll be very content with that. So.
Yeah, we look at the map pool we have. We have Coda Moonlight, and then the decider is going to be Iron Fortress. Moonlight Madness, that's a map with some back rocks in it. Do you see Red as the type of person that might try to abuse that?
Of course, yes. He's the one who picked that map. He's forced to play on Coda, so I think in his mind, he's okay if he loses this game. But he absolutely wants to win on the second and third game, and they are good for him. But if he wins the first game, then he's going to be in a total freeway to the quarterfinal, to the semifinals.
With the impending mechaning that we're about to see, if we go to an Iron Fortress map, how does that map help Red?
It's big, so you have room to show your skills.
That's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, it's a big map, so if they spawn on cross and Red is able to pull off 90 drones, I mean, I cannot see him not putting at least a very good fight against Marinelord.
All right. Well, boys, that wraps it up for us. We are now going to send it to Martin on the stage, who is going to get the players ready and in position.
Thank you very much, lads. Appreciate that. Aren't they brilliant? Aren't they just absolutely brilliant? Just picking it apart and informing you all the time. Well played, boys. Right, let's get quarterfinal number 2 underway. We're going to bring out the first player. He's French. He's going to be playing as a Terran. He plays for Millennium. It's Marinelord. Here he comes. Welcome, mate. Good, stand there for me. Good stuff. Marinelord is going to be taking on a Zerg from Holland, representing Team Liquid. It's Rhett. Here he comes. Welcome. Look at the seriousness. These guys are ready. That's a smile, but he means business. If you guys want to get ready, want to shake hands, good luck to the pair of you. So, quarterfinal 1 was an upset. It was an amazing game, and we got off to a great start. Quarterfinal 2, can it live up to the expectation It probably will. Let's go over to the casters, TLO and Jorasar, and they'll talk us through the action.
Thank you very much, Martin. Welcome to the second quarterfinal here at the Gfinity Starcraft Masters. And, well, I mean, it's hard not to talk about the first quarterfinal. It was a pretty impressive showing there from, of course, Psionic that was drafted in last minute as well.
Well, I mean, it's very impressive, but you can say it's not that surprising anymore. The way the French community, the French players are performing is really inspiring, and I hope it's going to spread out to the rest of Europe, and that we can, you know, have a stronger stand against the Koreans.
There's another opportunity for that to happen now, of course, because Marinelord is playing, and it also means now that we have more French players in the tournament than Korean players.
And that is true.
Which
yeah.
is,
it's 3-2 now, right?
Exactly. It's going to be a very interesting matchup here. Now, Marinelord is going up against, of course, your very dear friend and teammate, Rhett here. It's a very interesting matchup. I think on paper, I believe statistically, there was a prediction of 2-0 to Marinelord, but I'm not entirely certain that that situation is necessarily quite so clear. Rhett has been practicing a lot recently, and we were chatting to him backstage earlier, and he's basically done nothing but HOTS as well. He hasn't really been playing Legacy of the Void, so I'm really looking forward to what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Red can always beat anybody. It really depends on his daily form. The map pool is interesting because we have Moonlight Madness, which is a big unknown. We have a very small sample size on it. On paper, it says it's Terran favored, but I only have 15 tournament games in that, so I don't really know if that's really relevant. But we'll see what happens on that map.
The thing is, even if the map is very slightly Terran favored, it's not like the Terran players are queuing up to play on the map to take advantage of it. So even if there is some sort of a small swing, there just aren't enough games played on it that you can be that confident to say, yes, I would pick this map. Otherwise, Terrans would be picking it all the time, right? We haven't really had that situation yet.
So I'm very happy that's map 2, because we're definitely going to see it. And it's going to be very decisive of the best of 3. So I think we can get started and just go right into the action.
Yeah, I think so. We're looking forward for the game to begin now. I think, so map 1 on Coda, then we have Moonlight Madness following that up. And I believe to finish things off, we're on, I'll get this.
Iron Fortress.
Iron Fortress, that's it.
Yeah, that's
the vetoes were interesting as well, because the analysts were explaining that actually, you know, as a Zerg player, a lot of the time we tend to see the 4-player maps vetoed, and it's been really, really clear that Red's been vetoing the quote-unquote traditional, like, mech maps. Terraform was out the door pretty early on. So I think Red maybe, do you think he might have a game plan here against mech on specific maps that he's playing here against Marinelord?
I think most of all he wants to avoid mech. I know that he doesn't like playing against mech so much, and Marinelord is a very formidable mech player, so I think Red is going to try to push the game in such a direction that mech is as inconvenient for Marinelord as possible.
Sure. And well, we're loading up into game number 1 now. Now, it is, of course, a map that both players have played so often before. Coda, the quote-unquote standard starting map in the current tournament map pool, but also produces a lot of exciting games. We're into the game now, ladies and gents, and spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the red Terran player representing Millennium. It is Marinelord. And he's going up against the Team Liquid Zerg, spawning in the blue colors in the 10 o'clock position. It's LiquidRet.
Well, the nice thing about a map like Coda is there's not really any imbalanced spawns as such. You know, it's a 2-player map. There's it's symmetrical. And, all right, we're going to have a quick game here, as it looks like Marinelord might go for some proxy Rexes.
That's well, this could end up being very, very fast indeed. And, I mean, we're going to see 2, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be in 11-11. It looks like Marinelord is trying to place maybe at the 3rd base of Red. So they're going to be very close. Red is going to either have to defend perfectly, or he's going to have to scout it. Ideally, he would want to go pool first, but he doesn't have that information right now. So traditionally, usually you go hatch first. And it's very difficult to hold this.
And like you said previously as well, it's possible that Rhett's game plan here is to make mech as inconvenient as possible. He's banking that Marinelord is trying to buy time to get up to a comfortable composition. Rhett wants to disrupt that, but of course he's not looking to disrupt that at a 2-minute mark. He's going to be trying to macro up. It's going to take him a little while before he sees that these 2 racks are there, and his overlords aren't in position to scout it anytime soon. So this is almost maximum effectiveness for Marinelord but the change of direction on the Overlord?
It looks like he's going to see it. He's not going to see it immediately, so he's still going for not ideal 16 pool, but he's going to be prepared mentally at least. He's going to be able to react with drones. The question is he going to pull drones, or is he going to try to defend just with spine crawlers and links, and then kind of defend with drones at his natural?
Okay, so he's seen it now. The Overlord is in position. It did move out of the way to scout that third base location, almost at the last second there, but we have seen it now. SCV underneath as well, so Rhett is going to know the timing of the SCV coming in to build potentially a bunker too. And a couple of, well, just the one drone at the moment, trying to block this right now.
Very conservative bunker placement, trying to conquer the low ground to then go up and climb up the high ground later.
This is a very, very patient build-up here from Marinelord. Red, of course, he has notice of this now. He knows what he has to do. He's pulling drones from the high ground. Is he going to try and surround and maybe kill off this one Marine before he actually gets too much? This commitment from Red is quite a lot here. There are a lot of drones.
Yeah, this is not that bad necessarily, though, for Red, because he's going to potentially get the spine crawler up. If he gets the spine crawler up, he's in a great spot, but he already lost a bunch of drones.
Yeah,
13 workers is still all right, though.
I think with 3 Marines worth of DPS, he can just consistently start to get some of the hit points down on that spine crawler. But now we're sacking a couple of the drones here to try and surround and pick these units back down below the low ground. If he's able to do that and this bunker can't come up, then he might be in a good position here. That bunker gets cancelled, the spine crawler is going to get completed, and now he has to defend it with drones. He doesn't want the Marines to pick that off because then he'll just end up defenseless for now.
This is not over yet for Red, though. He's down 10 supply, though even though he has a natural up. He's not in the greatest of positions. He only has 9 workers against 14, and the Marine production is going to be constant, while Red is not really going to be able to replenish any ranged kind of defense. He's not going to be able to get queens. Okay, he's getting a second spine now, but that's not ideal.
Right, and now, what do you think of this decision to send the 4 Zerglings across the map? Because you're obviously having to counterbalance being able to do some attacking damage with, okay, I'm not going to be able to use Zerglings to defend my natural. Is this the correct decision from Red?
I think it's a correct decision. Those few links are going to be far more effective in the offensive than just having a few more links in the defense. It's forcing another depot to force those Marines back. They would be much more scary in the offensive. So I like this a lot.
All right, and the spine crawler is now within range of the bunker, but of course it's not quite put Marinelord on a timer just yet. The 2 SCVs will be able to repair that for a while. Red, in the meantime, hasn't been able to get inside the main base of Marinelord, so he has distracted a couple of Marines there, but also bear in mind that the pressure here is still very much on. The Marines haven't been going down in number, and the spine crawler is now under half health.
Yeah, this is tricky. With the Marine bunker micro, he can evade the shots of the swines. He needs to commit with the links now, but I'm afraid it's just not quite enough to really clean up.
2 spine crawlers, at least both of the bunkers are now in range. The spine crawler at the south side, though, is about to go down. It does. There are only 4 lings over there. The bunker in the north will go down, and it's down to 1 bunker versus 1 spine crawler. But the spine isn't necessarily going to have enough time to root here. The bunker's being salvaged, though, so, I mean, Marinelord is getting pushed back a little bit, but the spine crawler is so vulnerable right now. Is he going to sneak into the main base?
Yeah, he'll be able to do even more damage in the main now. Even if he kills 1 more worker, he's in a great... I mean, he's in a great spot already. 19 workers against 8. He's getting his second base.
Yeah.
So basically, he doesn't even need to do any damage anymore to be in a great spot.
And, well, I mean, he tried to defend this brilliantly, but unfortunately now Rhett down to 7 workers and continuing to drop as Marinelord now starts macroing up back home. He's on 21 SCVs, and soon he'll be on double mules as well. So even if this attack gets repelled, economically, there's no real way back into this game for our Zerg player.
No, and Red also realizes that, of course. Quick GG.
Well, I mean, that wasn't quite as quick as it could have been, I suppose. You could argue that. Red did successfully scout the barracks placement with the Overlord. What could he have done differently after seeing the barracks there? How could that game have been different where he'd be able to fend that off?
I feel that he went for a strange middle ground. Either he should have pulled a lot of drones very early to be able to pick off Marines just as they come out of the barracks, and just have like 4 or 5 drones at home still mining. Or he should have pulled less drones to his natural, so he has more money to start 2 or 3 spine crawlers at the same time.
Right.
And then just have like 8 drones to delay the bunkers, not to cancel the bunkers, but just to delay and win a little bit more time for the spines to come up.
Would you still send those initial drones to try and cancel the bunker on the low ground, or would you leave that be, continue mining to try and get the spine crawlers up and only try and deny on the high ground?
No, only deny the high ground, in my opinion. I don't think with those barracks positioning, you can actually deny the low ground bunker in that scenario.
Yep, sure. All right. Well, that was a pretty quick game number one in favor of Marinelord. Now, we spoke to both these players before going into this game, and we have a little bit of a video cue to show you guys. We'll see what the players thought of this matchup.
My name is Jos de Kroon. I'm 29 years old, and I'm a Zerg player from the Netherlands.
My name is Alexio Eusebio. I play from Team Millennium, and I'm quite good at this game.
You know, I have a bit of mixed feelings, because I normally like playing against Terran, but he only plays mech and makes turrets and tanks and just sits in his base. So I'm not too excited about that prospect. I'm gonna try my best to find a way to break that down.
Recently I practiced a lot of mech, like for my last WCS season. I didn't do really well with it, and I don't think I really like it. So I can do that, but I can play Bio, and I can play Cheesy, and I can play like everything actually.
I'm always pretty confident, or try to be. But he's also a good player, and as long as I don't lose my patience against the mech style, I might be fine.
I don't know if he practiced a lot. He told me no, but I'm not sure if it's true, you know. Speaking with him, it's funny, you know, we trash a little bit.
A lot of the time in practice games, I do lose my patience, and I just throw everything away, and then everything goes bad. But tomorrow I'm going to try to stay focused and calm and play the games out.
I think it will be very one-sided. Like, either me will totally crush me, or I will totally crush him, I think.
He's a pretty straightforward player, and so am I, so it's not going to be anything crazy. It's mostly just going to be about who loses their nerve the first, and who can stay calm under pressure.
Well, I think the takeaway phrase from that is that Marinelord just plays mech and turtles.
Well.
And I think, I mean, that really goes to show, A, possibly that Ret's game plan we were talking about before was exactly what we thought it might be, but also B, that Marinelord was thinking around this and had obviously planned it for this map. So a very unexpected turn of events there.
Right. It's a little bit unexpected, but at the same time, a lot of times a good 2-Rex can tie into really great mech play. So it kind of goes hand in hand a lot of times, because with the 2-Rex, even if you get just a little bit ahead, you can have a brilliant mech transition out of it, even better than a bio transition out of it. So it still makes sense that Marinelord went 2-Rex, but definitely Red was hoping it's going to become more of this longer game, and that he just tries to be as greedy as possible, then get maybe a timing against the mech.
And now what's interesting as well, like you said earlier, because of the lack of games played on Moonlight Madness going into map number 2, there's not necessarily that clear a sort of like attack path and timing worked out for all the different kind of plays that Marinelord might throw at Red here. It obviously throws the game plan off for Marinelord if he's just trying to sit back and turtle, and that can play into Red's favor if he's able to macro up freely. But at the same time, Red's going to be less used to dealing with attacks on this map. As a Zerg player, is there anything in particular that he wants to be watching out for on Moonlight?
On Moonlight, the main concern is that you have a high ground very close to your back natural and to your main.
Yeah.
So if Terran gets a position there with a tank and maybe a bunker and stuff like that, it can become a little bit iffy. But I think the main thing Red is thinking right now is, I hope he doesn't 2-Rex again. Or like, if he 2-Rexes, I hope I can defend. Because there's a good chance it worked out great for Marinelord in the first game without any problems. So why wouldn't he do it again?
Yeah, that's a really good point. At the end of the day, if you've been winning games with that strategy, then you can keep doing it until your opponent refutes it. And I mean, we touched on that a little bit at the end of the last game as well. Rhett maybe perhaps a little bit overcommitting to trying to destroy some units on the low ground, maybe a little earlier on. That might have bought him an extra spine crawler. A lot of ifs and maybes. But one thing we know for sure is that as soon as either side makes a mistake, either the defense or the attack, the games just end up snowballing really quickly.
Yeah, that is the nature of 2-Rex. It's such a tight matchup within the matchup that one mistake really can, losing one drone more than you should have, can decide the game 10 minutes later, as extreme as it sounds, but that's how it is.
And yeah, just moving in, I mean, we had the extreme version of that, of course, because the number of drones Red lost was frankly too great by that point.
High, yeah.
But that one drone 10 minutes later, of course, could have been an extra half a round of goodness knows whatever units we're using for a timing later on, so completely taken there. And, well, Red's being invited to the lobby now. Do we think that there's a chance he'll be switching up his game plan for this map, or if he specifically prepared something on Moonlight Madness ZVT, is there anything you would personally consider trying here?
I think it's kind of unlikely that he actually prepared for that map specifically, because it's so rare that it gets picked in a best of 3. So he's probably just going to go for a very standard kind of opening. What he could consider is to take, usually you want to take the base in the front, because it's closer to your main, and drone transfer to the natural is faster.
Yeah.
But potentially he would take the back base, because that would counter any kind of 2-rex, because then you can defend from your main rather from your natural.
Sure, and well, I think a lot of it will come down to his sort of medium-term game plan, whether he's looking off of his initial bases to be more aggressive, or perhaps to turtle back and try and get to a more sort of ideal army composition and like Game of Drones it up, if you will, and really just try and get that solid economy behind what he's doing next.
Yeah, I agree.
Marinelord's game plan is obviously not to let Red get into that comfort zone. I think we saw that in game number 1. It would be... I can't decide if it would be really cool and expected or slightly unexpected for him to say, okay, now that I've been really aggressive, I'm going to turtle up and see if you stick to your game plan and both sides are allowed to macro up and go into a normal game. I feel like psychologically, Marinelord has a little bit of an edge right now because he was able to catch Red off guard. So for that reason, I kind of want to see the Terran player be a little bit more aggressive here.
Yeah, well, we'll see in a minute as we're going into the game.
All right, ladies and gents, we're on Moonlight Madness for game number 2 of this best of 3 series. Spawning in the bottom left position as the red Terran player representing Millennium, we have 1-0 up, Marinelord. And he's facing off against our Team Liquid Blue Zerg player in the top right-hand position. Ladies and gentlemen, it's LiquidRet.
So once again, if there's going to be any 2-rex, we'll see it very soon. In a minute from now, it'll be known to us if this will be more of a standard game. But right now, everything looks pretty normal. I feel like 2-rex in general wouldn't be quite as good as on this map, though, because the way the Overlord is scouting, it's much more direct and a little bit faster than Coda. So he would probably know about it a little bit more quickly.
Yeah, he'd have to sort of... I mean, you'd kind of have to send SCVs around like the watchtower on the left-hand side of the minimap as we see it to sort of get there.
And that would be a very far path. It looks, of the SCV positioning, it looks like it's just going to be Rex. So probably going to be followed up by gas and then just a normal 1 or 2 repo opening.
So Rhett potentially, well, he's going to be a little bit relieved after the last game to see that this is going down, but of course he will know that in the back of his mind, Marinelord's looking to go for a kind of mech play off the back of it. Is there any chance, especially on this map where at the end of the day there are 2 entrances into your main, even though we have the destructible rocks, is there any chance Marinelord switches it up and tries to go bio here and goes for a lot of multi-pronged attacks?
I would say this map is better for bio than it is for mech.
Yeah.
Because of the back rocks, Zerg can do quite a lot. At the same time, the 4 bases that are closest to the main, like they are very compact. So as mech, you can defend like this quadrant pretty easily at the same time. Both strategies are very possible, I'd say.
The tricky part, of course, to defending the quadrant as mech really is getting into that position in the first place. Because, of course, moving from one side of your base to the other, from the natural to the 3rd base, is probably going to be the key. And once you've taken your 3rd base, the 4th is not too much beyond that.
Yeah, right. At the same time, because you have the back rocks, it does open up some timings for roach attacks. And the most critical part for mech is to get enough units out before you can get swarmed by mass roaches. Mass roaches become pretty ineffective as soon as you have like 5+ tanks.
Yep.
And some tanking power in front of that. But if you still have low numbers, you're just going to get crushed.
So it is just going to be a standard Reaper expand coming out from Marinelord here. The Overlord from Rhett has seen absolutely everything. He stayed to make sure he saw the Reaper come out of the barracks, and he's also had eyes on the natural expansion as well. Reaper almost getting a drone kill there, but getting chased out by the first couple of lings. And, well, the first hatchery, the first factory, and the reactor is being prepared now. Reaper so far doing a very good job of annoying Red here, it has to be said.
Yeah, but no drone kills yet, so this is pretty standard. You kind of expect to just lose your lings. Ideally, you want to keep 2 of them alive. And looks like Red is actually able to. They're going to heal up. It's going to take a while, but they'll still be helpful to block Hellions later on.
Yeah, it would have been frustrating for Red if he had lost those 2 Lings as well. Of course, he wants them to be able to fight another day, but more importantly, to be able to send them out across the map as scouting units as well, once they heal up a little bit. So now that the Queens are out on the field, that's going to make life a little more difficult for Marinelord from the scouting point of view, and Zergling speed is now on the way for Red. So all things stable, 25 to 21 workers, and we have got the double Hellion production now coming out from Marinelord.
This is very interesting that Marinelord is getting the reactor on the factory, that's normal, but now he's starting the tech lab on the barracks, and he's not getting a starport.
He hasn't started the starport, yeah.
So this could be interesting. I wonder if this is going to be maybe a factory for that. No, it's actually bio. It looks a lot like it's going to be a 2-base bio push, because usually you don't get Stimpack that quickly. Normally you get either a starport tech or third base.
Yeah,
so
you start the tech lab on the barracks, but obviously after you put the starport down for the Banshee follow-up. So in this case, that's not going to happen. There won't be any air support from Marinelord's army in the short to medium term. And, well, I mean, again, talking about the last game, what is Ret not necessarily expecting from Marinelord here, especially if he sees that both sides are likely to be macroing up a bit? A stim timing could just be the key, especially with the back rocks. I don't think Ret has dealt with the back rocks yet as well. Eventually, he'll probably want to close off that avenue to his main base, but right now it's open, right?
Well, the thing is, the back rock is probably not the path Marinelord is going to go for, though, because
With Hellions, right?
It's just such a much longer path to kill the destructible rocks first and then goes through there. Red is actually playing 2-base Muta, and that can be either amazing against the 2-base Terran push, or you just die before you get anything out. If Red realizes this is 2-base and gets enough Banelings to hold, and enough Lings, he'll be in a great spot, because then he can follow up with Mutas, and it'll be very hard for Marinelord to ever take a 3rd base, and not to take quite a lot of damage. But at the same time, yeah, Red can also just die to the push.
Well,
you'll see.
Moving out now as well, and crucially, there's a creep tumor or 2 beyond the natural expansion for Ret as well. That's actually going to really help the slow Banelings if the push decides to move in. So it's good that he got those down early. That's going to really assist his defense against Marinelord. So far, it's just Hellions here, with the Reaper smartly moving up into the main base to scout the tech as well. And Ret, over to the north position now, is taking a 3rd base off the back of this as well. The Spire about 2/3 complete. He will start to have Mutas on the way reasonably soon. Marinelord's not exactly streaming units across the map right now, though, so maybe Red can buy enough time here.
This is still very transitional by Marinelord. He's getting a 3rd CC. He's probably going to get engineering base soon as well. So he wants to do damage with his first 2 medivacs and submarines and mines, but he's not seeking to end the game. So it'll depend a lot on where the Mutas are.
Yeah.
If the Mutas move out now, and they're not at home to help defend, and also if Red just keeps making drones now instead of getting a few more Lings and a few more Banelings, that'll decide the outcome of this first push here.
Yeah, the first 2 medevacs, if the Mutas are in a great position to be able to shut that down, I'm going to really like Red's position, especially if he does, just enough to fend off the push, but more importantly is continuing to get his economy up before that. But, interestingly, the Mutas have chosen to chase the Hellions, so that means that once the Marines move this back, Red's not patrolling for the medevacs, but he will at least be in a defensive position near the natural. He knows a push is coming forward.
Yeah, this is really good for Red, because now he knows it is coming. And also his upgrades started about the same time as Terrans, so usually when you go fast Mutas, you have much later upgrades. But first, we'll have to see how this defense goes.
Yeah, the Mutas covering the Spine Crawl is really nice, because the Marines, the more they focus the Spine Crawl, the more the Mutas can sort of come in and try and juke and jive and do a bit of sneaky damage. The Banelings are behind, and they are slow still, but at least are on creep. A lot of micro coming out. Good starter stepping from Marinelord. He's going to have to pick up into medevacs and move out, and that's a cue for the Mutas to come in to try to clean up a little bit. Not quite enough ground support there to make that work, though.
Those mine hits helped a ton, though. They took out all the Banelings, and now a lot of Lings are on production, but they're not quite there yet. So Marinelord taking out quite a lot of Overlords. I like that he's not overcommitting. He's just kind of standing at the choke, doing the damage he can, not trying to do anything crazy.
Waiting for... we have got an Overseer with the army, but the mines are about to reset. And Ret moving back into his main base in case we have an elevator in there. But the medevacs, I think, have moved back with the rest of the army now as the third base gets taken. So Marinelord looking to continue to pile on the pressure. I mean, he's got his army still in aggressive position here. But it's now clear that he's going to try and just stay and macro up off the back of this. And the third base for Ret, to be fair, is fairly saturated as well. So he's okay economically.
This doesn't look bad for Red now numbers-wise, but the biggest problem he's facing right now is that he doesn't have any creep. The creep spread is pathetic because of that push. It delayed everything so much. And with 2-base Muta, usually you have free reign over the map. So you don't have a lot of tumors, but you can spread them out constantly. Yep. But because it was 2-base Mutas against 2-base Terran, it kind of clashed with each other. Now the creep is going to turn into a real problem.
All right. Well, at the moment towards the third base, the Mutas did actually see the army knocking down the rocks. We have a drop simultaneously coming into the natural expansion here. Widowmine's burrowing behind the mineral line. Good reactions from Ret there, pulling the drones away pretty straight away. We have another one inside the main base, and the Overseer is actually on top of it as well. Manages to kill that off, and now the army is coming back into the third base. A lot of Marines here, a lot of firepower. Mutas alone are not going to be able to fend this off.
And Lings are streaming in a little bit in front of the rest of the army. That wasn't ideal. Baneling speed finally finishes, but there's not a whole lot of Banelings on the map. Mines are still in the natural at the same time. They're going to reset soon. This was great play by Marinelord, trying to tear Red apart from different angles.
I love the usage of the high ground there to land the Marines and just create a little bit more damage against the Mutalisks. Red's going to have to pull back. At least the Marines are not in the most mobile position, but these mines in the natural, like you said, TLO, are going to cause him real issues. I believe they've already had one more hit. Medevac possibly trying to pick them up. Will get picked off now as well. And I think there was an Overseer there, so those mines are no more. So let's see if the follow-up, which admittedly doesn't look as strong now for Marinelord, is able to do more damage at the third. Ah, never mind. Here come the reinforcements.
The reinforcements are there, and the problem is Red doesn't have the drone count to really power through and keep up with the macro of Marinelord anymore. He's trying to be offensive with the Mutas, but really he needs them at home now if he wants to be able to hold on.
And yeah, the Mutas being sent out across the map is great if you're able to defend against the counter-attack here. And the Muta numbers, they're down to not very many because there was a missile turret defending at the third base. So they're now out of position to defend this push. And look at the amount of army. It's 93 army supply versus 46. And Marinelord now has a 40 supply lead.
Yeah, this is looking more and more dire for Red. I don't really know what he can do to really come back into this. The army of Marinelord is huge. It's in a great position. There's no creep spread to assist the units of Red to be more efficient, and this just looks like game over to me.
Yeah, I think behind all the pressure that Marinelord has been putting up against Red all game long, his macro just hasn't slipped. And not being able to spread that creep, and not being able to get the drones out as well that Ret wanted to be able to keep producing those Lings and Banelings back at home to repel the attack, meant that every successive attack that Marinelord threw at him started getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Well, as you said, I think the main issue for Red was that he was very much expecting Max. 2-base Muta is also very strong against Mac. You can follow up with a roach timing that kills most of the Terran players that go for Mac. But 2 games of Bio, well, 1 game of 2-Rex, 1 game of Bio rather.
Sure.
Caught Red a little bit off guard, I think.
Yeah, and I think I'm now 99% sure that was just Marinelord's game plan. Ret said in the interviews yesterday, and I'm sure Marinelord knows this, of course, they can play each other a lot of times, that he is famous for meching and turtling. So if Ret's planning to play against that style, regardless of even how the map picks have gone, Marinelord is thinking, what is my opponent not going to expect? And I feel like he was one step ahead of Ret there in this series.
Yeah, potentially. That's the beauty if you're able to play both Bio and both Mech. It makes Terran play so much stronger than if you're a Mech specialist or Bio specialist.
Yeah. So that does mean that Marinelord takes a 2-0 victory over Ret here. And I mean, we were looking at predictions before the start of the tournament, and I think everyone except one person was predicting Lilbo as the favorite to win the whole thing. Is Marinelord his next closest competition, given the French resurgence here?
Well, I would say Myung-Sik is probably still the number 2 in that, but you know, right behind that, I'd pick Marinelord.
and he's doing very well. Well, I don't want to read too much into this first series and say, oh, he's doing fantastically, because game number 1 was a 2-act, and it was arguably a mind game. And the way he maneuvered his opponent psychologically was just really good here. So you have to give Marinelord that. Rhett, on the other hand, unfortunately out of the tournament at this stage, but hopefully looking to bounce back soon. I know previously in WCS and some previous tournaments as well, I think in Gamescom, he was losing to a couple of Terran players. So I feel like it's a little bit of a pity if he's shored up his play and he's prepared to see these long games against Mech and he's able to win those. And we haven't been able to see that play style out of Rhett today.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what comes soon. Legacy is just on the verge to come out, and he has another shot to show his skill there.
Exactly. Everything's going to get mixed up. We'll see lots of new plays, lots of new compositions, and the meta is going to evolve so quickly when that pops out as well. But for now, guys, we're going to hop over to Banks to have a chat about how that last series went. Over to you, mate.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, got to start off straight away. 2-0 crushing defeat. We spoke about it. They spoke about it just then, about mind games with the 2-racks to start off with. Was that your intention? Because I know we were talking just a little bit before, and you said you haven't been playing so much recently.
Yeah, recently I played only mech, so everyone thinks that I only grow macro game mech, you know. But I can play bio, I can play cheese, and I can play everything, and they forget that. So yeah, just today I bring in 2-racks. I don't bring it often, so yeah, it's working most case. And then second game it was bio, 2 base cheese, so I probably never did that in competition. So of course he didn't expect that, and I won. So yeah, good.
Well, we're now going to be guaranteed that we see obviously a non-Korean in the final. Obviously, Sonic, yourself, you've now made it through. Both of you have now said that you've not been playing too much recently. How do you think the game's going to go between you two?
Psionic?
How do you think the game's going to go between you and Psionic?
Last time he probably beat me, but it was like 1 year ago. I think he's not very good recently, so it should be easy. And then in the final, Lilbo or Myungsik, I guess, and they are very good, so not easy.
So not easy against the Koreans, but could you be the man that can do it? Because we look at the French scene at the moment, so many good players coming out of it. It's like Stefano retired and loads of little pieces of him spread out everywhere of good players. Do you feel comfortable that you could maybe get in there and edge it?
My worst matchup is TVZ, so I probably will play only Protoss, so I'm confident about that. After it, it's like very good Protoss, so even if it's a good matchup for me, I don't feel really confident, but I know I can do it for sure.
Well, he knows he can do it. We're going to send it back to Lycan and the guys on the desk, and we'll be back very shortly.
Awesome. Thank you, Banks. That series was another quick one, guys. It went 2-0 in the favor of Marinelord. Daishi, talk to me about Marinelord's play. I mean, did you expect that? Did you talk about this beforehand? Did you know that 2-racks was coming?
Actually, he told me he would 2-racks really insanely. I thought he would do it both games, though. But he didn't. I think he played very solid. We didn't expect him to play bio at all, especially the second game. He just went straight bio. But as he said, it was more of a cheese, some kind of a cheese, a 2-base Solin, than a will to play bio like for 30, 40 minutes. So he had something planned, I think, and it went very well.
Yeah, we were all expecting Mech, and as Mech did not happen, I imagine that Rhett was also expecting Mech, and that probably screwed with the game plan that he had going into the map. Bling, what did you think about Rhett's performance, especially in the second game?
It was a bit disappointing, if I'm honest. Like I said before the series started, I was expecting it to be quite close, and it really wasn't the case. I think obviously in game number 1, you can't really do too much about losing to a 2-racks. I feel like maybe he did overcommit a little bit with the drone pool. The initial first bunker was on the bottom of the ramp by the hatchery, so it wasn't a fast push like you can do with a 2-rack. So he did have a bit more time, maybe just pull a few less drones, keep them mining so he can get those spine crawlers up. So, but you know, 2-racks is hard. It's so sudden. It's so sudden. So if you make one mistake, it's kind of over. And then game number 2, just the lack of scouting. He couldn't get that Overlord in, and ultimately he had to gamble after that. And I guess he assumes that. He assumed that Marinelord was going for a standard, maybe 3 CC play, but obviously that wasn't the case. And the build just paired up perfectly for Marinelord. And yeah, he took it from there.
We saw him making a lot of drones. I assume that was because he had that lack of information. So he was assuming, all right, this is probably going to be a mech game, or we're not going to get 2-racks twice in a row. We can continue to produce drones. We're going to be fine, and it seems to have bit him in the butt.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a shame as well, because when you are 1-0 down, you kind of do have to take risks. You can't just play safe and wait for the third map. So the fact that he wasn't able to scout and he did have to take a bit of a gamble and it didn't pay off, it's sad, because I do like Rhett. He's a good friend of mine. And yeah, it's sad to see him go out so early. Yeah, and now tomorrow in the semifinals, we're going to see Marinelord and Psionic cross baguettes and see how they face against one another. Daishi, what do you think about that match, real quick? Do you think that Marinelord's going to take it handily?
Yeah, I think he's at another level than Psionic right now. At least in the French, yes, he did beat him like 9 months ago, but right now I think Marinelord is not miles ahead, but he's better than him. So unless we see some very, very tricky stuff from Psionic, which we might see, to be honest, Marinelord's going to take it, I feel. Yeah, from a Protoss perspective, the power of Protoss, even on the Protoss's weakest day, it still has some tricks up its sleeve. Do you think the Psionic can pull out what it takes to take on Marinelord?
Probably not. Protoss does have a few cheesy builds under their arsenal, but I think Marinelord's just on a different level, and it's definitely going to show. I mean, Psionic did do very well to beat Patience. Obviously, Patience being a Korean, it's no easy feat to beat one of them. But yeah, I think in this matchup, it's extremely difficult for Protoss. I've been struggling a lot in the matchup lately, so I think the fact that he's out of practice, like he mentioned, yeah, he's going to struggle a lot, I feel. All right. Well, it's sad to see Rhett go, but Marinelord advances. Another foreigner continuing on. We will have a guaranteed foreigner in the finals now. And with that, we will be back with more Gfinity Summer Masters 2 here at EGX 2015. Stick around. We'll see you soon.